feeling used, but I'm still missing you, and I can't see the end of this.
Hey, how
Hi,
are
Dara.
you? Well, go on. All right.
How are you doing? I'm not too bad.
All right, you need to put it back now so we can see your face and everything like that. Perfect. Perfect. How are you? You said not too bad?
Yes, I'm not too bad.
I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your little mini vacation to come and talk to me, you know? Happy belated birthday to you.
Thank you, Dara.
So, well, I sent you a message before the live, especially that question. Do you want to go into that?
All right, let's shoot off. Can't remember the question you sent me, but let me shoot at me whatever it is you want me to answer. And I didn't get these stories that were taking place fully. I got bits and pieces of it.
Okay.
But I'm happy to assist to answer all the impromptu questions that people have right now.
Yeah, man. I wanted to go personal before I go global. How you stay?
Sure. Well, I'm fine. I think I'm all right. Yeah.
All right. So, in your case, I don't know if you're much on IG. You heard about the Porsche factor?
What is that, please?
All right. So, I am a real housewife of Atlanta. I follow them, right? So, there's this woman on it. Her name is Portia Williams. There's this thing going on IG now where they're saying Portia was friends with another woman on the show, and then Portia is now engaged to that woman's husband. So they're going through the process of a divorce, but he's now engaged to Portia. That's the long and short of it. So IG giving her, IG coming down hard on her for that, right? So
I'm not aware of the story, but I'll try my best to follow through.
Yeah, some man Drew saying took her friend's man. She took her friend man.
Oh, she took her friend's man.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Drew.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Okay. So before we go global, do we want to go local or you want to stay global?
When you say global, what do you mean?
I mean, we can look at the general issue or we can go local as in zoom in on you.
You could do both if you want. I mean, I can share my personal experiences because I'm quite aware. Well, I have cases of infidelity and adultery in my marriage. And right now,
all right, so hold on now. One sec, because
So if you want to, you depends on how you want. You want to take it, no problem.
So I want to use your story as a stepping stone to, because you know the funny thing about it, we were having a discussion about the Porsche thing, and a whole heap of people having that issue, where you hear say friend take friend man or whatever it is, however it is. You see me, I say a whole heap.
Drew, go on with it. Drew said, "Go on with it, Debbie."
So you are married. So let me help you along. So you are married, but you are in a similar situation like the Porsche factor. Can you explain that?
All right. In terms of being in a similar situation as the Porsche factor, it's a situation where we have been together from high school, and experiences and problems took place. Death took place within and centered around our marriage, and then one party became very vulnerable, and the vulnerability has been manipulated to a sense, as well as the other part in terms of lack of principles and boundary, and the pressure of trying to create an image out there. There are struggles between standing on what the principles of relationships are about versus lack of boundaries, porous boundaries, and just falling into situations that make you vulnerable and making choices to comfort instead of looking at the principle about it and not considering the ripple effect of the hurt that may take place.
I just listened to you And it's like I was going through an encyclopedia book or something like that. So before you put on the relationship hat, Dara and Debbie attack. Give me the racha.
All right, in terms of Dara and Debbie, so I've been married to my high school sweetheart, pretty much. And being married to my high school sweetheart, he's my first love. Always will be, always has been. So we do go through our phases of life together. Pretty much we growing, as you know, individuals go through different stages in life. And when you have young love, young relationships, you have to take into consideration of level of understanding to know that we are going through, you know, they call it the middle age crisis, that sort of thing. We both are from two backgrounds, popular backgrounds, within St. Anne, of course. And he's a businessman. I'm a psychologist. And in terms of his personality, he is very friendly. He's very outgoing, very kind-hearted, very nice guy. You know, I don't have no regrets. I wouldn't change it for the world. And I think we're breaking up a bit. I'm sorry, that's probably my Wi-Fi. However, when my father passed, I became vulnerable as much as seeking attention. He doesn't communicate well, but he is a lover of ensuring that things are provided, because his love language is totally different from mine. And when his father died, it took a toll on him as well. And I would say he went into a state of vulnerability as well. And unfortunately, there was adultery and there was infidelity as well, vice versa. And it's the baby mother really is, I know of her. She actually was at my wedding, yes, and they had an affair, and they're gonna have a beautiful girl, and the children are always innocent, always.
All right, so let me round up your story into 2 lines. So you're married, he cheated on you with a friend of the family.
Correct.
And they're now together. She's pregnant. She's going to have a child for him.
Pretty
How
much.
was that? How long was the marriage before all of this came in?
We are married for, I would say we're married for 11 years. Yeah, but we've been together all our lives. He's my first love, so I knew him from high school.
How have you been dealing with this?
It's hard.
But before you even go into dealing with, how did you find out?
Well, the relationship that my husband and I have, he was very honest, Dara. So he came to me and told me first he expressed his weaknesses, and he confided in me to tell me that this is a situation he was facing. And I respect that, you know, regardless of what takes place. I mean, sometimes we think we're fighting against each other, but I'm not fighting against my husband, and my husband is not necessarily fighting directly against me. But we understand at a level that we're still humans, we still get vulnerable, and we still can be manipulated in different circumstances as well. And we still have to take responsibility for our choices. And the vow to us is very, very important. It says for better, for worse. So when the worst time comes, we're not expected to run. We're expected to stick it out and deal with it. And we're expected to ensure that peace can resonate in all areas, in all facets, because in the end, it's not about how you got here. It's about how you leave, or what you make out of the problem, pretty much. It's not easy for me. It's not easy for him, because we must also understand that a cheater, as well as the person that has been cheated on, they both hurt, right? But we always look at one side of the story, but they both hurt, right? And I'm sure the young lady is also hurting as well in her own way, but we have not had. Well, I don't know why. I can't speak for her, but remember, I'm a woman first to Dara. You're a woman first too. You know, many women have not gotten the opportunity to learn principle. Many women are tricked easily. Many women are vulnerable to lies, and some women can stand on truth stronger than some. But our duty as women is not to tear down each other, but it is to build each other, regardless of the situation. And I always say, love cover a multitude of sins.
Hey, you
Love cover a multitude. It never say one piece of sin in Dara. It say multitude of sins. So it's going to take one person sometime to put a little love in it and mix it. And it will ripple effect, because we're popular people, and we want peace, and we want to know that everybody can live in peace. I want to know that she can bring this baby into this world in peace as well. That is the truth.
So you're friends with her? So you guys are friends?
We're not friends. No, we're not friends, because right now we're at a stage where all of us are hurting, right? But we have encountered before. I know her. She was at my wedding as well. So she was my husband's friends before mine, and she's a family friend as well. So the aim is to try to bring peace into it as much as it can, for the sake of and the interest of the child as well. And also, everybody needs healing, and everybody's going to need restoration. It's not a judgment thing. It's not a tooth for a tooth or an eye for an eye.
This is Dara talking to Debbie. You're good. You're not here. No lie. No,
and Manju knows me, you know. So Manju tell you exactly how I am.
Me not here like you. I mean, just listening to you now. Because if it was me, me think that me in the stage or would have been the cross, angry, miserable person. But I'm listening to you and you sound very calm. Okay, so I think you know what happened? The situation exists. It happened. And I like taking it, so you just have to deal with it, right?
No, I can't. Right. So this is it. I cannot change what happened. Right? I also have to be loyal to the vow. It says for better, for worse. Okay? I'm not going to be the first woman that's experiencing this. As my husband said to me today. He said, Debbie, you're not going to be the first woman that's experiencing this. And I am not the only man. But one thing is for sure, I'm not hiding it from you. So I'm telling you this. And he expressed himself to say that he was going through a rough time. Men are weak. And men are vulnerable too. And I think sometimes we misunderstand, maybe because they should show a macho-ness. And I have a son. So when you have a son, you know you're expected to be macho. But at the same time, they are vulnerable creatures too. And I am a woman too. And I can get hurt too. And I'm not perfect. You know what he said to me? Deborah, your mouth drive me to do some things. No, I love to talk, Dara. I love to talk. I love to share my experiences. I love to encourage people. But it was misunderstood. And he felt as if it was used against him at one point. So that hurt then fuel into vulnerability. Vulnerability fuel into just getting into some crazy situations at the wrong place, at the wrong time, with the wrong people, listening to the wrong ears. And you have to understand this is where it is. And I have to understand him and he has to understand me. But we still have a responsibility to the commitment that we took. We took our commitment before God. Okay? We took our commitment before family, friends. We took our commitment to people who witnessed it, even to the person. So we really have to try to find a very peaceful way to deal with it.
Somebody's asking the question, do you feel that she's finding excuses for him?
Oh, she's asking me?
Yeah. If you are, no, the question is, are you finding excuses for him?
No, I'm not finding excuses for him, but I also have to have a level of understanding to hear what he says. And I would never bash my husband because we're one. So there's no responsibility of me bashing him on this media. I would never do that, because if I bash him, I bash myself. And that is what that's how powerful the vow is, right? So no, I'm not finding excuses for him. And because love covers a multitude of sins, he would have to work out his hurt, I would have to work out my hurt, and the third party has to work out their hurt. So everybody has to work out their hurt. So I can't cover up for it no matter what, because in the end, it's what he sows, he reaps, and what I sow, I reap. Likewise, the third party, whatever she sows, she will reap.
Mm-hmm. The good thing is that you both are working on maintaining the marriage.
The vow, respecting the commitment of
For
the
better,
vow.
for worse.
Because remember now, if we're working on the marriage, it means that we're going to do some tearing down, we're going to do some rebuilding, we're going to do some reshuffling, we're going to do some, it's going to take some work. As any car that need maintenance, gas, oil, regular checkup, it's going to take all of that. And it's going to take some structuring, some boundaries putting into place, and also the interests of the children must be protected.
All right. I want you to put on your hat now. I mean, let me just see if there's any question. Wait, don't put it on yet. Do we have any questions for Debbie before I put on the hat? As in the expert hat, her expert. I respect you. I wish all women would be like you. Jeffrey saying that he respects you and he wishes that all women would be like you. But
Thank you, Jeffrey.
It not just comes so easy, right, Debbie?
No, Jeffrey. No, no, please don't get it twisted. Listen, my husband will tell you, listen, I could even come and tell her face to face, because I know she's one crazy woman. I would be throwing stuff all over the place. So it comes with having a personal relationship with God, for me personally. And Drew will tell you, before me do anything, me have to say, God, what must I do, God? And it comes with purpose. It comes with the foundation of why we got married. And it comes with your relationship with God. You have to understand that marriage is about forgiveness. So you can't, if you don't have a problem, you can't forgive. Knowing God comes with testimony. If you don't have a test, you can't have a testimony. Okay? And you won't be able to encourage people. I wouldn't be on this social media talking to you about how it is that we can get through problems. You have to see the good in the bad. And you have to make the bad turn around for the good. You have to. That's where we're at.
Question. Somebody's asking this question, but I know you've answered it already, but I'll just throw it out there. How would you treat the child? You already said that the child is innocent to all of this, right?
Right. Yes, the child is innocent. So how would I treat the child? Like an innocent child. Just the same way you treat the child, you ensure that the child, well, it's the mother and the father has responsibilities for the child. However, under the covenant, the fact that two become one, that child is a part of me as much as it's a part of my husband, because we're one. Okay? So, in terms of treating the child, well, we know that we have to ensure that children get 5 basic needs: food, light, water, shelter, clothing, education. All of those are important. Health, those are important aspects for a child. So honestly, everybody has to pull in for the interest of the child. Okay, so you have to focus on the family. It's about family. You have to focus on the family, and you have to focus on doing what is right, rather than being unforgiving. These are avenues to work through these things. I mean, it's hard for me. I'm talking to you, and it's renewal of the mind for me as well. So don't think that I didn't go through a phase where I had to accept. I didn't go through a phase where I had to confront it. I went through all of those phases, and I'm still going through a few. But this is a time when we pull together as partners, husband and wife, and we understand each other and we turn out and we talk. We use I statements. I am hurting, so I need some time to think. I need some time. And he says, I need this. I need to do this. So understanding builds relationship. It's not perfectness that builds relationship. It's understanding. Nobody's perfect. And my husband knows I am not perfect. And I know just as much as him that he's not perfect either. And I don't think the third party person is perfect either. She's not. So we have to allow good to come out of evil. That's good over evil. We sing it every day, good over evil. So we need to practice it.
Another question. Debbie, do you love you?
Do I love me?
Yes.
Of course. I do. I love me very much. And
How do
I
you
love
keep...
me so much that I know I have a purpose. And I love me so much that if I don't fulfill my purpose of why I'm here, and I love me so much that I know that my struggles are gonna make me greater. So yeah, and I don't think, do I look like I don't love me? Look good.
How do you keep that cool temper?
It comes with years of practice. I grew up in the funeral industry. My father is an undertaker. My brother is an undertaker. My niece is an undertaker. My nephew is an undertaker. My uncle, we're all undertakers here. So we have learned to deal with death and dying and traumatic situations every day.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe the tolerance level is different for me than maybe somebody else. But that's Deborah. That's my purpose. That's me.
Somebody asked this question, would you continue to forgive him? And this is hypothetical, so you might not even want to go there. Would you continue to forgive him if the situation recurs?
I can't say what I can do unless I face the situation, to be honest with you. But I know tolerantly now I am overcoming my hurt. And I also know that I have to I have to give my hurt over more to God, you know, pray about it, get back my personal relationship together and zoom back into the woman in me. That much I know. So I know that that's the season that I'm at. So I honestly cannot say what I will do if it happened again. Because there's a possibility I might run and I might stay. I don't know.
Trust is a serious issue, you know. For me, if you have lost my trust, it's hard for you to get it back.
Yeah,
how are you dealing with that?
Okay, trust has been broken down on both sides, and in terms of trust being broken down, no, trust can only be built back up. So it's something both parties have to make a choice to do. And that comes with actioning. It doesn't come with words. So it means that, remember I said that we're going to have a series of breaking down, reshuffling, putting together, breaking apart, that sort of thing. That comes with actioning now. So it's something we would have to be doing, working at. So if my husband neglects that, it means that he neglects the vow and he neglects the marriage. Yeah? If I neglect that, it means that I neglect the vow and I neglect the marriage. So there's no marriage, there's no, you know, and the Bible teaches us though, because remember, marriage is from God. Let's not forget that. I didn't invent marriage. Man didn't invent it. It was God. And the first person we should really be trusting is God. So it's like a triangle. And when God is at the top, when you can't communicate with each other across the board, you're supposed to be communicating up so that the bottom now, God is able to fix and mend, because marriage is an entity that gives the ability to heal itself like your body. So if you give it the right ingredients, it can heal itself. And because the resurrection power and the restoring power still exists in anything that God created.
You said that essentially the question is being asked, have you ever cheated? And based on what you said before, it would seem kind of sort of that you're hinting to that. Is that the case?
I have flirted before, but my husband tells me straight up, flirting is cheating, Deborah. So I was like, okay, all right, no problem. Which is true, because maybe that's the
Okay.
first base.
Mhm.
If you're flirting, you're going to end up going into cheating. But he knows me so well. Like, if he sees that I'm so happy talking to somebody else, problem. He knows that something is wrong.
Okay, so
So,
this, Siobhan Thompson saying the two are on the bond, so bond for bond it quits. Is that how you're looking at it? Well,
no, no, that's not the way I'm looking at it, because two wrongs don't make a right. So fire can't out fire. I don't know if that exists, and I've never seen that exist in my profession as a psychologist. Fire can't out fire, but I know good can overcome evil.
all right. So let's move from your personal now to the global thing. Let's put on that hat now. Hat time.
All right,
Yeah.
I'm in a different phase now.
Yeah, Deborah, and I think you being in this space or you having this profession has really helped you to deal with what you're going through on the personal
Correct.
level, right?
Correct.
Tell us about yourself now as we go into the expert to the whole thing before I introduce K Dot and his story.
All right, so my name is Deborah. I am currently a counseling and consulting psychologist. I've had experience in working in the public sector, in working with children, HIV sector, working with adults, as well as grief counseling, grief and trauma counseling as well. I grew up in the funeral industry, so my passion is in areas of definitely grief and trauma, dealing with loss and bereavement. And also my personal life experiences now is leading me into doing a lot of relational and marriage counseling.
So how do you do all of that? Going through your situation, how do you, well, it's like taking off the hat and putting it on, right? When it's work, you have to just put on the professional hat and do the counseling, right? Is that how it works?
Yes, it's hard at times, but I have to know when I have to back down. Like for now, I'm not in the public sector right now because I know I needed a break. I have counseled over 300 clients in probably a year, has 300 sessions. So it will take a toll on you. So sometimes you have to back off for a while, rejuvenate, restore yourself, and start again and go forward. So how do I do that? I have to balance, have a good support group. I choose my friends very wisely, and I have good family support as well. And yeah, I've been around a lot of doctors. I had 2 years med school experience. So I have quite a bit of friends in the medical field, things like that. So it all has to do with the network of support as well.
All right. So, psychologist Debbie, did you hear K Dot's story about what he's going through? He is on a journey to find self. But having started that journey to find self, he's now experiencing a whole new person, a person who wants to explore, a person who is now in love with intelligence. So what that has resulted in is that his wife, his partner, is being left behind because she is not up to his level. He said she's not up to his level. And on the sexual front, he wants to explore and she's not willing to explore. How can they meet somewhere along that line there?
All right. Wow. So his name is K Dot, you said?
Just call him K.
K. So basically, how old is K?
K a big man. K, how old are you? Him soon answer, but a big man.
Probably in his 40s or
Yeah.
between 30 and 40, 35 and 40.
Yeah.
All right. So we must take into consideration K's age as well. We want to probably take into consideration K's level of development coming up, the stages of development, childhood impacting on adulthood, impacting that sort of thing. So I'm hearing you say that K is now at a stage of exploring.
Oh,
So
he's
because
50. He said he's 50. And yes, you hit the nail on the head because he has some childhood trauma that he's going through. He's trying to get
very
over
good.
that. And
Figured.
that's a part of the whole quest to find self.
Figured. And that's okay. So K is actually, so this is it. Our childhood experiences. I don't know why, but psychologically it pops up between the ages of 35 to 55. Between that. Yes. So
So
if the
something, so
foundation,
something in my chat.
yeah, man, it happened to me too. If the foundation kind of rocky with childhood, it kind of surfaces up between that age. So you're trying to like, you pull back on that to survive in that stage. It's very weird, but it has been psychologically proven. So I like where K is at. He is finding himself. So K can now express himself to his partner. In a relationship, it's always best to meet each other halfway. So now that K can express himself, it means that the partner is able to understand where K is at and try to compromise. Right? So
K,
it's
I'm gonna
very
add you
important.
back. I'm gonna add back K to the thing because I think he would be better able because he's not expressing himself to his partner. That's where I have the problem. He essentially, I mean,
We don't
he's
read
not
minds,
express.
Dara. We don't read minds in relationship.
Thank you very much. Hold on, let me add it back. Hold on, 1 second there. Okay, go back in the darkness. Go back in the dark if you come out of the dark, okay? Yeah, so he's not, and that's where I'm no expert, but I'm just thinking that as a communicator, I think communicating for understanding is way, way better so people know what I want. But when you don't know, I mean, he's on a journey. I understand that. I commend him for that. But the journey is not, he's not alone on the journey because he has a partner with him. So there has to be some kind of communication right there, right? All
Yeah,
right.
there has to be. There has to be. Kay is experiencing something, and the partner must be aware so she can know how to meet him halfway and see how she can compromise and assist. It's called supportive relationship because nobody's perfect. I don't know why we get this feeling like everything has to be perfect. And trust me, the partner may need his support one day in a different avenue as well. So he has to first start expressing himself by using assertive communication. Assertive communication is saying we're using I statements. I'm going through this. I am. We find that sometimes we're in a relationship, we can't say I. Like, it's okay. I am this, I am not, we need to be expressing ourselves. We need to be expressing ourselves. And I struggle with that. I am so strong at times, as Jeffrey's saying, but at the same time, I find that I can be such an empath, so caring. I forgot to say, I am actually hurting. So coming here and saying that I am hurting, this is a big gradation for me. So we have to communicate, man. Communication is a big issue in relationships.
Wait, me not understand. K-Dot, oh, you not come on yet. I sent you the request. I don't see you on. So and that communication, a big part of marriage, a big part of partnership is the intimacy, right? For him, he said that he said, oh, you're going to listen, Dara? Me don't really want to come back? Okay, all right. So I hope I'm representing you well. If I'm not, let me know, okay? So a big part of it for him is intimacy. He said that he's now at the stage in his journey in finding himself where he wants to explore. So he wants to do a threesome or he wants to do an orgy. He wants to explore the different sexual things, but she's not up to it. So what happened in that case?
In a case like that, he has to respect her decisions. But then can he find an avenue to unleash this? Is there another way that he can compromise with her? That is where the two of them will come into play. Because you must love your partner enough to don't force them to be somebody that they are having a struggle with. But try to compromise if that is
Oh,
your outlet.
so how you compromise when you come on to sex and you want him to do an orgy or a threesome? How you do that?
By consent. You do that by consent.
Oh, so
Yes.
if she doesn't want to do it, you ask her for permission to go
they
out.
they have their agreements. Always remember this. Once you have agreements in relationship, trust agreements, stick to your agreements. That's why communication becomes important. Very important. You know, this is not the first time infidelity is happening in our country. These things are happening years now. However, the level of respect, Dara,
Juju said, blow up, Dolly.
the level of respect is different. The level of agreement is different. Remember, you had people back in those days where things were taking place, but respect was different, that there was no crossing of boundaries, there was no war, there was no fighting. So the two individuals must come to a good resolution to deal with the weaker party and look at the needs that are at play. We are not meeting people at a needs basis anymore because we're not communicating our weaknesses, and we are not dealing with our sexual needs as well, because intimacy and sexuality are very important in relationships. And if we and it has become a pawn, because many people, when sex was created, sex was actually created as an act of worship. No, sex is being created to use for other gods, right? So people must agree on why they are doing this, what is the outcome of this, and don't cross-cut the thing. It's simple.
So Kayla is saying, Kim is saying communication is a major issue. I think it has to do with our childhood. Some parents did not allow us to speak out. They say it's bad manners or you faced it. So Kayla is saying, yeah, that's what he went through. So communication for him is a big deal.
Challenge. Yeah, and
Yes,
I agree, because back in those days we used to get shut down, and sex is a taboo too. Sex has been a taboo because of religion. Hello, sex is wonderful. It's God creates sex. What are we talking about? But the fear of it put taboo on it and put restrictions on it, and the context of it, which it is being used, has been also exploited, right? Now, it is okay for Kay to sit and discuss with his lady that these are the concerns that he has. And how can I meet you halfway with this? Because I realize you're struggling with a weakness. It's just because it's sex, It's like a weakness like anything else, It's like a drug addiction, It's like, it's not much different. So if you go back to the thought life of the psyche of it, or the psychological part of it, it's still a regular weakness. Yeah. So what do? We help each other with our weaknesses. So they should really sit and discuss it and try to compromise and see how best it is that he can help Kay, she can help Kay, and Kay can, try to see how best he can balance that in such a way where he's not necessarily disrespecting her, but he still values the union of being together.
He just said something, not really. He agrees. Nobody speaks about sex.
It's true. Nobody don't speak. It's true. And I'm a Christian, yeah, and I speak about it because it's fun. God created it, man.
No, I mean, yeah, we know it's fun, right? But the thing about it is, when you just meet somebody and you start, really talk about sex and like, hey, would you do this or would you do that? I guess it's as you grow and as you seek to explore, things just fall into play and everything like that. And then at that time, some persons may have an issue and say, wait, you're going the road, that's why you're coming inside there with them, something here, etc., etc. So he's right, we really, but how we do that? How you meet somebody and then start with the conversation? Okay, you know what? So let's talk about the sex and the do's and the don'ts. People do that?
You should. You really should. When you're courting and meeting people. Yes, Drew, that's so true. From high school, I love talk about sex. But we really should. In courting, we should realize that there are different components of relationship, and sex is also a part of one of that component. Communication. What is your goals in your relationship? I mean, I don't hear people talking about relational goals anymore. What do you want from this relationship? We don't know who we are getting into. No, the problem is when we physically contact first and then we do the intimacy after. No, that's the problem, Daryl. It caused one big state of confusion. Do the intimacy first, work through that, and then take on the time work through the physical connection. Now it turns out better because you have a better understanding. So it's like a courting process that you go through, which works out much better. So we need to talk about it, and we need to talk about our sexual preferences, and we need to talk about exploring too. We need to talk about what is it you like about sex, you know. What are your fantasies? Can I be a part of that fantasy? You know, things like that, because you don't want to exploit what sex was originated for. And you want to enjoy it for what it was made for.
Yeah, but the challenge is starting having that conversation. That's
Yeah,
the
it's a
challenge.
taboo. It's a taboo
Yeah.
because of religion. I think it's a taboo because of religion, because people don't necessarily talk about it. And then you find that when young adolescents go out, they overindulge, and then like for me, I grew up in the church. So when I finally like get wine, I'm like, boy, this is what it was all about. So I understand the taboo, and we need to get past that. It's way overrated now.
All right. So let's talk about the pandemic now and what you find. Shirley saying, and sexual preference change over time. Yeah. All because we are not taught about sex at all, which is true. Jennifer is saying, in a relationship as women, we have to go all out about sex with our partner. Don't just dry up after you get the man and married. Also true.
Yeah, comfortable. Thank you for that. I'm reminded that I do get comfortable sometimes too. You get busy and you get too comfortable. You have to have them girlfriend in your corner. We can tell you, say, Debbie, how much time you having sex with the man? You know, things that the man will go to the road, this and that, and etc. So it's relationship. You have to work at it. You
Yeah,
have to
but
work at
Debbie,
it.
you don't want to get a third party in your thing. As a partner, you must know when you shall change your partner. Does it go?
Very much so. Very much so. But remember now, Dara, we're in an era, we're in the 21st century. Women, men are busy. Okay? And the roles have changed. That has become burdensome. No, the reality is some of us go home and we're reaching at the bed and we're tired. Not true. But at the end of
No.
the day, we still have to be working at it.
Yeah,
Right?
because if you start out the relationship on a 100-meter dash, you can't then say you run a 1500 something. You can't be slow because if you have got a particular pace where you do the head top, the this, the that, the that, you can't then decide, say, you know what? Me tired of that one, you know, me want to slow down without having a
Right.
conversation with your partner. And then your partner has grown to expect that 100-meter dash from you
Yeah,
all
man.
the
And we
time.
just dropped the bombshell, so yeah, man, we dropped the bombshell, so we have to be careful. It's not easy, but we have to catch ourselves. It's a part of growing. It's a part of stages. Relationship go through stages too. So you have to just catch yourself, work at it, and just, you know, deal with it again. But everything goes through change. Everything goes through stages. So we have some adaptation to do. So the real deal is we're not going to get comfortable. We have to go move with the flow and work through the thing.
All right, so let's look at relationships now during this pandemic. So it's not going to be what you. Shelly, I get what you're saying. Shelly is saying, Dara, things change in relationship. We all agree about that, Shelly. The thing about it is, when there's a change, you can't just have the change up here saying in your head. You have to communicate same with your partner, so your partner has an understanding of what is happening. You have to be so like experty.
Yeah, Tara.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm saying you have to have a conversation with your partner so your partner know where you're there, which level you're there on, right?
Yeah, I didn't know much, especially to that my husband was struggling with grief so much. and he really isn't a good communicator. But I think we should be understanding languages to remember, you don't have to communicate by words too, you have to look at different languages as well. Body language, that's how we communicate with our animals, right? They don't talk, but we know when they're sad and we know when something is up. So it takes keen attention as well.
Dr. Sexy, I soon add you. No worries, sir. I soon add you because I'm getting pieces of everything and you're saying I'm not understanding you. So before that though, let's go into something. So recently there was a Gleaner article, Debbie, and it said that divorce are on the increase. And of course they have associated that to COVID-19. As a relationship expert, what are you seeing? What are you seeing? Because I know you have your clients coming in on a regular. What are you seeing on that level?
That's true. I had an increased amount of relational counseling sessions since COVID started, both in family and friends. And I have been taking the stance because I'm looking at the natural law. It's like I'm going back to the basics in my profession now. I'm looking at the natural law of relationships and how important it is for us to keep our relationships and to focus on the family first, because this is our first line of support. And this is what the God would have intended for us to do. So we want to preserve that. So in preserving that, it's unfortunate that there is an increase in divorce. Now, I can assure you there could be many factors that affect this increase. Some of these factors could be, one, that marriages were created on wrong foundations. That's the first thing. Two, could be that there is internal financial problems, which means people married for the wrong reasons again. Three, because guess what? The divorce rate go up when the worst time come. But the vow did not say you should run when the worst time come. So then there has been the loyalty to the vow has been disregarded as well. And also in terms of emotions, people made decisions, of course, out of emotional stance, a hard time, and it becomes overwhelming. And I think to the lack of resources and support was not there. Yeah, because when you're going through a rough time, the individuals that are around you that can help you through your struggles it's best to have supportive individuals rather than to have people that are going to encourage you now to bring it apart. Making go and mash it up. And we are disregarding the purpose of marriage because children are hurting now. This divorce rate that has gone up has a ripple effect on family life now. And I'm telling you straight up, these divorce rates have gone up. Most of the children the blame game is going on right now, and the children are suffering. So family life has been torn down. That done once the divorce rate gone up. Children are uncertain, are left thinking that they are the cause of this, and they grow with that. And as Kay said, he had some childhood trauma. We're going to have some children having childhood trauma again. Wow. So these things weren't taken into consideration. No support. We didn't have much people supporting in areas like that. And thank you, societal norms. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's another thing as well that has, scarred most of this. So there are many factors, many factors that could have.
So, but what has been the number one factor, like the one that's recurring very regular throughout the people that you have counseled in terms of why their marriage or their relationships are now struggling?
Anxiety and stress, uncertainty. Anxiety and stress from COVID and the uncertainty impacts the relationship. So parties are struggling with finances. So the males on a whole, for example, their role in the home has been tarnished and degraded. So they can't come home to a home if they're not have money to give you. It's hard on a man because he's like, don't know how I'm going to feed my family. You know, that affects the male. Domestic abuse has increased. So the outlets, they're fighting at each other instead of working together. The outside third party distractions has taken place because there's greater distractions on the outside of marriages and relationships that pull the people apart. And it is comforting to move to that. So people are now seeking comfort instead of seeking ways to make this work, to preserve family life and to protect our society. Because if you protect family life, you protect society. If you tear down family life and divorce, you're tearing down a society. And that is the real truth and deal about it.
But you know the thing now? You said seeking comfort from outside, but that's also a big problem I hear, because the man who used to have a little, I don't want to say him little, because that's who are his side, the side chick out there that will provide that level of comfort. He can't get to see her no more because lockdown and everything. I'm using the Jamaican context right here. Yeah, so he can't get to see her no more because of curfew time, and he can't say my work late because curfew during the week, curfew on weekends. So him they get the chance to see that him other side piece, and then him they get the chance to go to the bar to drink off him stress. So all of them something like all this, all of them stresses just come home to the family and then take it up on the wife and the children. Are you finding anything like that?
Yes, that is where the domestic abuse came from. So the triangle, we call it the triangle effect. So the triangle effect now is when the individual goes out and there's a third party to buffer the problems that the individual is having, but it does not change the fact that the individual has the problems. So now it comes a tug and war now when COVID comes now. The outside party is drawing and pulling the other person away from the main focus. But the reality is the main focus of the person intentionally would have been the home. But you pulling away the personal, so that is where the agreement fall off again. Because I'm sure the third party was not necessarily an agreement where it must be a lifetime, but it was an agreement out of comfort and that sort of thing. But no, it pull away as if it's trying to be more of a long-term agreement because of the COVID. So the confusion takes place. So when the confusion happens now, Dara, it is going to affect the home as much as the third party. So you find that it's a tug and war. So that will take place. So that could be one factor that has caused a divorce as well.
Another thing is the issue of space. I see Damien say there, no more girls' night out. So during the week, you work Monday to Friday, you take care of the children and you take care of the house. And maybe you used to have your little free time on the weekend where you go and you have a drink with the girls and everything like that. I'm talking for the wives or the female partners. No, you can't do that. So it's like the need for space. The need for space.
That is true. That's true. Because I did hear my husband say something like that in terms of space is very, very important. It's true. Especially in this time, you know, when you're under stress, you should be finding yourself. And you should be able to be at peace with yourself first. That's the problem. Be at peace with yourself first, and then you're able to know how to relate to everything else around you that you are interacting with, that you have a connection with. And when we don't have the girls' night out, we don't have no more support. When the guys not meeting together, they don't necessarily have no support. They don't really have an outlet. And then now everybody's cloaked up in one place. And yeah, and then guess what? We don't know much about family life. So it's not that we cloak up in one place, you know, but we cloak up in one place and we're not doing creative stuff together. Because anybody want to, when snow fall in different countries, when snow fall in different countries, the families find things to do, or the people, the relationships find things to do. So
Well, there be snow
We
now fall out here, so this COVID and the snow at the Jamaican snow.
no, we should be actually still finding creative things to do and try to balance our mental health so it doesn't affect the home or it doesn't affect anybody. And learn to communicate and don't hurt, you know, don't try to aggressively attack situations. You know, so we have to be very careful in this time as well.
All right.
And
So
yeah, he's right. Everybody dep on them phone.
yeah, because that's the new thing.
Yeah,
No, that's the new entertainment place. Your phone and you go on social media, you do this and you do that. So help
I
us
have a
know,
rule now,
Debbie.
you know, Daro.
Eh?
No, I have a rule now, you know. No phone at the dining table.
Eh?
Yeah, man. No phone at the dining table.
Okay. But it's at the
I'm
dining table.
serious. Because
Okay.
it's family time when we cook the food and we sit down. No, sir. No phone at the dining table.
Debbie,
Yep.
how do we solve this problem now? How do we help some struggling relationships now? What can you tell them? What word of advice? I know I'm going to give them your contact information so they can reach out to you on a personal. But, I mean, for persons who don't want to come forward and say, you know, I have an issue, but you have the whole communication issue, you have the whole financial issue, you have the space issue where you just think this person is in your space. What advice do you have to persons now whose relationship may be struggling for one of those reasons?
So let's zoom in first to the person who is struggling. We must be able, and I'm going to put myself in that. I must be able to know my boundaries. I'm going to have personal boundaries. But you see, when I make my personal boundaries and you're struggling in a relationship, you're able to communicate that personal boundaries to the person that you're with, because you have to know what your tolerance is. You have to know what hurts you. You have to know what affects you, and you have to restructure some things into place. So your personal boundaries becomes very, very important at this time. Believe it or not, you start to go back to me. You have to start to go back there, and then you communicate who you are. Then in relationships, you have to go back to the fact of what are the components of a relationship. Relationship tying, trust, commitment, relational goal. Believe it or not, we have to go back to setting relational goals. So you and I are in a relationship. This is our goal. What's your goal? Do my goal meet up with your goal? Where do I see myself a year from now with you? What is it we're achieving together? Where is this going to go? So you don't have no unrealistic expectations. If we go put another big problem on top of the thing, right? So you want realistic expectations, and to get realistic expectations, you have to communicate and you have to set boundaries into place.
Let me put you on pause. Kim has raised a very, I think, a very important question. What about the men who always want to spend time with their friends? They work together, they come home, they hang out together, and then when the man comes, he's tired or he's on the phone with the same friends.
Well, that's if it's probably, you have to know, maybe it's too much friends for real, and if it's too much friends for real, then you have to put some boundaries into place. You have to know, say, you have to cut down the time a little bit and come back over yourself a little bit. So boundaries again. You have to explain to him, and you have to tell him, and you have to, and I think we don't communicate to attack. Let's not attack anymore. I need you to be home a little bit more because I am hurting, and or family or is hurting because I miss you. Can you spend a little bit more time here rather than spending so much time out there? But no, if you're gonna say, listen, you know, I'm sick and tired of you out there with your friend them. It's all of your friend. Well, if I your friend, you care what you go on, you know. We're not gonna read your mind. We read what you say. So communication again.
Damien is asking, how do you redo the very good one, Damien? How do you redo the foundations of the relationship? Is it you don't start out? Oh, if you don't start out on a good foundation, because you know, Debbie, a whole heap of times, you know, people get in a relationship not even understanding the person that they're
True.
getting in a relationship with.
True.
So how
And
do you know? How do you know? Set the foundation when the house done built already.
Well, you can go back and just start to set goals and just go back to the foundation, which is who are you and who am I? What do you want from this, and see where you can meet each other. It's always best, honestly, to start up with the goals. Simple questions. Where do you see us in like 2 years from now, babe? Babes, what a goal you think we have together? Where you want to in the next 5 years? And you fit yourself, you adjust yourself in it, babes. What in terms of finances, you're gonna study for the next 2 years, or we're gonna do a business together, you know? So you know how to fit in. And you see, when you set those goals now, you understand nobody confuse and change them. Only just try to work with them, because only did ask the goals and only ask certain things. And babes, what you like, what you like, what you sexual appeal. How many times a week you like to have sex?
And you ask this. So hold on. Tell me again. When in the relationship you ask this?
Well, it depends. I mean, honestly, when you're courting, but I'm very outspoken, so maybe ask you anytime, and Drew will tell you I'm not really business. So, but I honestly think it depends on the person, depends on your courting stage where you're at, and it depends. You can ask anything. You can ask no if you want.
No, come this one. No,
Let's be real, Dara. Some of us are in relationship for years and we don't know how often we partner love to have sex. So tell me what we do. Like we all go home tonight and ask him, but how much time a week you like to have sex? You think you can run like a marathon for 3 times a week or 4 times a week?
No, you say you're giving us homework to go and go ask the partner now.
Yes.
Because someone to say, there's
everybody tolerance or what do you call it? Everybody pump run differently. So you can ask, and maybe it's because stress. Hold on, Dara. Remember, say man, nothing about sex when they're not the money, you know. So you have to look into certain things too. So it might be tell you when you have money, say we go like 3-4 times a week. But when the money not run, that not depend on their mind. So you have to ask a question. And everybody's relationship is different. So you see, when girls sit down and compare, please don't do that. Don't do that. It's different man, different people, unique personality. Do not compare your relationship with nobody else. Everybody's different. True. So you have to ask a question for yourself. True. Yeah.
Shelly say, man always thinking about sex. Broke men need love too.
True, broke men need love. So the reality is we can't cut them off. We have to give them some comfort. So you have to know the person. Know what makes the person tick. He's right, of course. Lord, if you want like a prayer over the broke man, would have been nice. I wish you all the prosperity. Honey, I love you. I know you're going to find a breakthrough. Something. It's true.
All right, so there's another question I want to ask you, but before I ask you that, still on the thing of discussing sex, because you know it's a topic where people really and truly, it's like you learn it as you go along. You see what I say? As the relationship grows, you learn something else about it.
And that's why it's not a perfect thing.
My thing is now, so Mr. Massa, we meet you. So look here now. So how much time a week you expect to have sex with me, sir? And sir, what's the position you wanted? What's the position you wanted in, sir? I mean,
no, I ready to blatantly stop it. Eh? But sex is as Jenny says, sex is a part of love, so you have to talk about it. It's a part of love, but sex is not only in the relationship. It's not the only thing that make up the components of the relationship. So you have to balance everything.
All right. So somebody was asking this. What about the man? She said that like this person, he work all day and then he just come home, shower, and go sleep. I think that's what you were asking at camp. I saw that question. How do you get that person engaged? They go work, and by the time they reach when they come home tired, shower, and go straight to the bed. What happened then time then?
Wake him up in the night? Make him get 2 hours sleep and then wake him up.
And talk to him? And I have a conversation with him then?
Stroke him up first, man. Feed him with some sex and then stroke him up first. I'm sure he'll be up to talk. You know, I'll go back to sleep. Make him sleep first.
After the sex, I'm going to fall asleep.
Not all men Dara, and I need some men to be posting this. Not all men have sex and fall asleep. I beg to differ. Not all men.
So you said if you're having a challenge talking to him, if him come home tired, make him go sleep. And then
Maybe he's not a talker. Can you try another way to communicate?
she's Shelly saying the same thing. We go sleep. Who want to talk after that?
We have to find another avenue. Meet them halfway. Find another way to communicate. Would be good.
Which is how?
And they can meet you halfway too.
Shelly, you are very confused. I'm not talking about anything. I'm not. Oh, Shelly said she's not talking about none after that. She knocked out. She's knocked out. Alright? But so this person really wanna know though how you do it. Oh, schedule it.
Oh, that's well, that's different. I mean, my husband is not I am a organized person. My husband, no. So nobody come schedule anything, nobody come, no, so nobody come time, nothing. So everybody different. It depends on the person. Some people
Timmy saying send a text. Timmy
that's a
saying
good
you
one. Send a text.
No, but my relationship is not about cell phone. My relationship is about face to face.
No, I wouldn't think it's about cell phone if you send a text. No. It's about, remember, Dara, it's about compromising. Okay, so if you can't meet them face to face, and all the time you send a text, you actually you're able to communicate in such a way that you know that they're busy. For example, a productive man who uses his phone 24 hours for work, yeah man, send a text. He must see your text. But if he's on the phone and you want to talk to him and him not talking to you, that's totally different. So it all depends on the person. There's so much little things. Remember when you used to send love notes and put in the wallet and the little way we communicate, and we don't do those things anymore. We don't do those things anymore. And those are things that even I had a 14-day relationship renewal where we renew relationships. And what we did, thank you, we wrote letters, we wrote notes, we did actions, we did love actions every day. We wrote on the mirror, we left messages out, and trust me, it was awesome. We got good reviews from all the individuals who are part of the support group.
Okay.
So those little things are missing.
So somebody's asking, how do you communicate with somebody who is not a talker? That's one. And then Damien is saying, women want to treat men like children. They talk to, not with.
Yeah, some women, not all women. So that's like a demanding person. Like they feel demand, like you're demanding stuff from them rather than welcoming. And I find that is a communication problem. So we say you need to, you must, you're affy, rather than could you, I would like you to, we would be happy, I appreciate if. Two different communicating patterns. So that is also important. So I second that. In terms of the non-verbal communication, okay, so we can tap into the love languages. A touch is a communication. A hug is communication. A kiss is communication. Working with me is communication. Checking up on me is communication. And doing my work for me is an act of communication. Giving me a gift is an act of communication. And sending me an appreciation text is an act of communication. Mm-hmm. Instead of me talking like this, there are many other ways. And just cuddling is also communication.
Some topics require actual conversations. That's for sure.
Agreed. Some topics really do need actual conversation.
So what do you do that?
Say this again, Daryl.
What do you do at that time when
you need actual conversations? You have to really get in depth and communicate. So you have to communicate with I statements, be assertive, be a good listener, things like that.
Shelly put this one. How have they have to use words like what's your STD status? Well, Shelly, that one you have to establish that before you meet the person. So some communication have to go alright. Is that right, Debs?
Yes. communication definitely have to go on that way, and probably some factual communication as well, not the word of mouth. Can you send me a picture of your HIV test? Or did you do it yesterday? Can I see the facts? Did you do the panel test? Can I see it?
It's how you it's how you ask for it, right? That's what you're saying.
Yes. Can I see it? Yes. And I want to know that we're all covered. So I just want to know if you did a last checkup, how was the results? Things like that.
So back to the thing now, before as I wrap you up right here. So you have the non-communicators, you have the people with the financial issues, you have the people who want their space. You're saying the first thing you need to do is to find out who you are and what you want.
Yeah, find out about you. Learn to communicate about you. It's, know yourself, know your boundaries, know your tolerance, know where you're at, know what you're doing. So that you're confident about your boundaries, and then the other person can meet you halfway with that. The person will respect you when you're able to know who you are and know what you stand for, know what it is you can tolerate and what you can't tolerate. One of the things I admired about my husband in our struggles is he knew how hurt I would be, and that he had to pull himself away at one point because the hurt was actually damaging me in terms of focus and concentration. So he knew that, listen, I need to back off. I can't, certain things, it's not right time now to kind of spill it. So he had to know how to spill it. Right? So that is important.
So it's perfect. It's the right time to have certain conversations.
You're right. And he knows my anger. So he knows that, oh my God, this can be physical, so better me just give her a space. So knowing things like that is important in relationships.
How do we get in touch with you? I know a whole heap of people, we're out there going through our relationship issues. How do we get in touch with you and continue the conversation?
Well, I'm currently on Instagram under my private practice, which is think_positive_services. Currently, you can... Yeah, think_.
Tina, you can type that in for me.
think_positive_services. And you can Instagram me at any time. Let me know if you need an appointment. Online only for now. As I said, I'm giving the public sector a break. So I'm only doing online sessions at reasonable cost, doing talk therapy as well. So it can be video call, it can be talk therapy, just for like 30 minutes or so that we can, flesh out some problems and we don't make rational decisions out of emotions. We're able to rationalize issues and conflicts and renew our minds. So my thing is that we need to be able to understand that we're at a time when our mind is under attack in so many ways. So if we can renew our minds back to the basics, principles, and the basic knowledge of truth, we're able now to surpass the problems. We're able now to look at it from a different perspective, and we're able to journey through the problems with a better outcome. So we become overcomers. So that is why it's called Think Positive Counseling and Consulting Services, because we need to think positive to overcome.
And it's the one that Nurse Janae has. Tina has one that says Think Services, which is totally incorrect.
No, it's think _positive services.
All right. Thank you so much, Deborah. It's so nice to have you on. Please don't be a stranger to the show.
Thank you, Dara. It was an awesome show. I enjoyed it. And thank you so much, listeners, for participating. I also enjoyed it as well. And we will keep in touch, Dara. Whenever you need me and I'm available and I have some nice quality time, definitely. And keep me in your prayers. Remember, we're still overcomers.
Feeling used, but I'm still missing you, and I can't